Test. Hey, what is going on? This is Mike Clark, Keys and Knowledge. Hey, you know what it is, man. Another fire episode. We're going to talk about some myths, man. We're going to talk about why people are hesitating to buy. We're going to debunk some of those different, we're going to debunk the misinformation that's going out there. You know, like I said, I've been doing this real estate thing for a while now. As an investor, majority of the time, but as a realtor, I'm seeing it even more and more, especially when I introduce the conversation, because, you know, I'm trying to find clients, of course, and I'm trying to, you know, have those conversations, but I've been noticing that I'm running into the same issues. And once again, like I said, it's misinformation. It's information that's kind of been bred to us hardcore, and to unwire it, I'm not gonna say it's difficult. However, you know, of course, I'm learning how to overcome certain objections. What I've been doing is using a similar approach to the investing side of why would you hesitate? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? But I believe it needs to be a different way of expressing that information to people where they understand it logically and it makes sense. So I want to talk about that. And, you know, the first point I want to make right now is, do you need 20% to buy a house? 20% down to buy a house? Now, it's a yes or no. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to do. However, for majority of us who not on a fixed income, but are looking to buy their first home, there's a couple products you can use. Now you have the FHA home loan, which is you're putting 3.5% down on the property. So if you're talking about 3.5%, let's use $100,000 for simplicity. That's going to be what? $3,500 you got to put down. Now that also includes, in addition, you have to have money as well for different things. There's multiple components when it comes to putting the property under contract or your first home under contract. You have what's called, I'm going to suggest it. I'm not even going to make it an option. You need to get an inspection done, whether you have a new home or, you know, a secondary property that's on the market. You also got appraisal fees. You have option money, earnest money. So yeah, you need to have 3.5% down if you're using FHA. Plus, I would say, you know, extra $2,000-$3,000 to just get yourself over the hump on some of those other fees. Now, I'm not a financial, I wouldn't say a financial advisor. I'm not the finance piece when it comes to purchasing a property. But as a realtor, you know, you want to be knowledgeable and have resources and people available that clients can use. And if you have a realtor that you're working with, make sure that they have someone that's friendly, available, and have the heart of a teacher that's going to teach you anything. Because I say this, man, I'd hate for you to go through the process, get to a point where you're denied for whatever reason, and there's no information to improve or how to get approved for that loan. So for example, I would hate to send someone to a lender. The lender goes ahead and go through all of the formalities of getting you guys pre-approved or try to get you pre-approved, and then for whatever reason you get declined because of X, Y, and Z, but you don't know it. You just told, hey, you don't approve at this time, try again later. No, there's lenders out there, man. They're all not built the same. That's why I always suggest making sure you have a conversation and make sure you get the most bang for your buck, because you want that information. And if you're hesitant on, you know, any second guessing of why you may not, or you probably will be declined, hey, give them a call, man. I use this analogy, man. It's like going to the doctor. Nobody wants to go because no one wants to figure out what's wrong with them or know what's wrong with them. They just kind of want to avoid it. And I'm in that boat as well, man. I don't like going to the doctor. But when you go to the doctor, you figure out, okay, well, if I do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to become healthier. Same thing with trying to buy a property. You're going to be healthier if you have all the information. Additionally, so now if you are a veteran, you've been in for at least 90 days, you're still in currently, or you're a veteran, you know, honorable discharge, there's a thing called the VA home loan. Now you have a certificate of eligibility, and there's abundance of case by cases on would you be denied. So I don't even want to give you guys a criteria of will you be approved to use the VA home loan or not, because I know there's a lot of people in different situations. So definitely go through the process anyway. No lender should be denying you from the VA home loan until they send those documents over to the VA, and the VA will then make a determination if you are going to be approved for that or not. Now that's you being approved through the lender is totally different, but for the VA home loan, no lender should be sitting there saying, well, you know what, they're making a determination before they even, before they even send anything out to the VA, because they're not the subject matter experts. You have another entity that does that. And with that being said, we're going back to the initial question. Do you need 20% down to buy a house? The answer is no. Like I said, you have what's called an FHA. These are all government-based loans, and that's at 3.5%. And then you have the VA home loan, which is also at 0% down. But once again, there's many different components that go to a contract. So you got to make sure you have some money available and ready to go. So if you have any other questions on that, don't hesitate to ask me. Don't hesitate to DM me, call me. I would love to talk to you in more detail about it. All right. So this is the next myth that most people are believing. It's always better to buy than rent. It's always better to buy than rent. Now, I would say it depends on the person. I wouldn't, as a realtor, of course, I want everyone to buy. And as a young man as well, I still want everyone to buy. Everyone should experience buying their first home. Everyone should have their own home and make that a priority. However, I understand that having a home, having a property is not for everyone. Some people are meant to rent. Man. I don't know how else to say it, because you have to be able to maintain a home. You have to be able to take care of the home. Understand, you buy a home, 9 times out of 10, within the first 90 days, something's going to go out, whether it's the water heater, whether it's the furnace, whether it's something happens with the roof. You have to be able to maintain that property. Not to include the city, dealing with the weeds, dealing with this, dealing with that, the neighbors, blah, blah, blah. So all of that needs to be taken in perspective if this is something that you want to do. I know when I rented, hated it from start to finish. I think the only thing I enjoyed was not having to deal with landscaping, not having to deal with the maintenance, not having to worry about changing out filters, not having to worry about, if something was damaged, I could just call up the maintenance man and the maintenance man would come fix it. That's definitely a leisure, man. It's definitely a leisure. That's something that, we all enjoy. But once again, once you get into buying your home, things change. And it's on you. It's definitely on you. However, it can be done, and a lot of people do it. Single mothers do it. Single fathers do it. Married couples do it. So it can be done. You just got to go through that process, man. And depending on how much work you want to do, you can always buy a property with a warranty. That's always a possibility. But like I said, you have to take that in perspective. So when I say it's always better to buy than rent, you just it just depends on who's asking, who that person is, So I would say that's case by case on that point. So the next myth, this one's going to hurt a little bit. Now, I'm not talking bad on this platform, because there's many platforms. We all use them. I've used them before. Of course, I always highlight me, because, I don't want you guys thinking like, oh, Mike's perfect, or Mike did this, Mike did that. No, I've done all of this stuff. So I definitely understand where people are coming from of why they use certain resources. But I did figure this out early. So Zillow's Zestimate is a home's true value. So when you go on Zillow and you're going through the properties and you're looking at different homes and you're seeing what the property's estimated value is or was, or you're getting that information even about taxes, you want to verify that information. A lot of information, whether you have access to the MLS, you're not going to be able to know if that information is accurate totally. But information you can verify on your own is, of course, property taxes. You can verify that as well, right? Finding out what the insurance is. You can call an insurance company, give them the address, and they can give you that price as well. So now you have an idea of what the taxes are, what the insurance are, because remember, you have PTI, principal, taxes, and insurance. That's what's made up into your escrow, right? Into your escrow, you got your principal, tax, and insurance, or your overall. Not even say that's not even your escrow. Your escrow is just your insurance and your taxes. But overall, principal, tax, and insurance is what makes up your mortgage. So, like I said, with that being said, these estimates is, you guys take that with a grain of salt. That information I'm not gonna lie. It could be right, but 9 times out of 10, it's probably not. It's probably not, and that's why I would say get a subject matter expert to help you out with this, to ensure that a proper market analysis was made on that property. Now, if for whatever reason you like, well, Mike, I still want to do this on my own. You want to do a property, a market analysis yourself. It's gonna take a little work, but you can do it, right? Like I said, everything's public record. You can find out yourself and find out what's sold in the last 6 months in that area, So if you want to figure that out, request the public records, see what was purchased. Boom, we can go from there. That's going to be tough because it's going to be hard to get that information, but it can be done. Now, the next one I want to talk about. Spring is the only good time to buy. On the crop, listen, that is, I don't know if that's, well, I would say it like this. During the warmer time of the year, everyone's out shopping. Everyone's out shopping because everybody can move. The time that I believe everyone should be out negotiating and moving and trying to find a house is the time that nobody really wants to do it. And that is during winter. During winter, no one is out. No one is trying to look for homes. It's cold. It's just, that's not the weather you want to be in. It doesn't give you that, oh, I'm buying a new home, I'm getting ready to move. It doesn't look good on Instagram. None of that looks good, man. But I'm telling you, you're going to have the most opportunities when no one else is out. So take it like this. Listen, you own a property, you're going to see that the more buyers that are out, the higher the market's going to be honest. But during winter, those properties are going to sit a little bit longer, and you're going to have more opportunities to put an offer in and negotiate very aggressively and most likely get what you want. Just saying, unless that seller is not in a rush and wants to get what they want, of course, that's what's going to happen. But I'm telling you, just think about it. Who is shopping for a home during the winter? It's like shopping for shorts during the winter. No one's doing that, man. No one's doing that. Some people are, man. They're preparing for summer in the winter. You know what I'm saying? So they could think ahead. But no, man. I'm telling you, it's gonna be the best time for you to go out and buy. Best time for you to look for something. Overall, just start putting offers in. I promise you're gonna find a deal or two. I promise you. Next, I want to go to number 5. The agent with the lowest commission is the best deal. This right here is something you have to think about. Prior to me becoming a realtor, I was like, man, all these guys do is turn keys. That's it. They don't do nothing else but turn a key, bro. They're not doing nothing else. They don't know nothing about the property. They don't know nothing about the area. Blah, they blah. Let me tell you, all agents just not made the same. My last agent, he was great, man. He was great. I've had some other agents that were just horrible. I mean, that's what it felt like. They showed up, they opened the door. They may have printed out a sheet from Zillow or the MLS that says a little bit about the property, but they don't know. It's not like the movies, bro. It's not like the movies. It's not like the TV shows. They're not going to sit here with all the information on top of their hands. They don't know when the roof just got done. They don't know any of this information until they contact the seller's agent. The seller's agent is who's going to let them know and disclose as much information as possible. But remember, you're cold calling these people. You're just getting to know your actual agent, so they're just going to do the showing for you. But this is something you want to know and understand. In the state of Texas, before you even go see a property, you have to sign what's called a buyer's agreement. And all that means is it's allowing you to know, as your agent, I owe you what's called old car and a fiduciary duty to protecting you and making sure you understand the transaction and making sure if I walk in this property with you, I am going to disclose whatever information I see. Because remember, a lot of you guys are going to be brand new to the looking for properties. Like you said, this is your first time buying a home. So say, for example, we walk through a property. You're looking at this home, you're wide-eyed, you're looking like, oh my God, this is beautiful, this is the one. I'm also walking through the property with you, and I see water stains on the roof. I open the closet, I see water stains inside the closet. I look around the window, I see repair damages. I see certain things that I know for a fact that there was some sort of issue. Now, do I not say anything to protect my interest? Because you're excited, you're ready to put an offer in. I know I'm about to get a commission. Do I say anything? Of course I say something. But you can see how that can get sticky. You can see how people who depend on the commission may not say something. But that's why you sign a buyer's agreement, because I'm held liable, one. And two, I owe you that. I'm going to owe you that information. So that's the reason why you want an agent with you, and a knowledgeable agent, and an agent that's going to have integrity and morals and values, and they're going to obey what you're asking them to do. Listen, like I said, it's a whole acronym for it, man. They're supposed to, people aren't going to like it, but they have to obey. It's an obedience piece. They're listening to the buyer it needs to be legal and moral and of course all that good stuff, right? But for the most part, I can't just sit here and tell you what you're going to do or what you're going to buy or what's available, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to listen to you. So that's why I say this question right here, when you look at the agent with the lowest commission is the best. Remember, you get what you pay for. So if you go with someone with the lowest commission, unless they have a huge volume of buyers and sellers where they don't care about the commission, but even then you're going to understand that if you got that many people, how detailed are you going to be? How will you be able to answer every phone call or answer every question? How detailed are you going to be if you have a bunch of buyers, But also, I would say you want an agent that's going to look out for you, and they need to offer some tremendous value to you. Some tremendous value. Like, if they're just going to do the bare minimum for you, of course, I would say go with the lowest bidder. It doesn't matter to me, man. But if someone's truly putting in the work and you see it, so for example, when I say work, right? You're talking about someone who is going to list your property. They're going to help you sell your property. And you say, well, what are you going to do to sell your property? Because this is what a lot of owners who decide to sell their home on their own without representation. As someone that's going to list your property, what am I going to offer you? I'm going to do so many open houses on your property to try to get it sold the quickest. I want your house on the market immediately. I want to make sure that there's beautiful pictures of your property. I want to make sure I'm marketing it to a way that is great for the market and people understand that this is a hidden gem and you need to come look at this property and make an offer today. I'm also going to make sure all your documents in place. That's the other thing that a lot of owners don't understand as well, because Without proper representation, you're not going to understand. But I am going to make sure that we disclose what we need to disclose legally, and you're not going to be caught in the crossfire of not disclosing something you're supposed to. Okay. So what else am I going to do? As a realtor, my job is to do what's called a comparable market analysis. Now, that is really subjective because one, you're going off of all the properties that are available, right? But once you find out those properties that are available, you're going to find that there's a range that you could fall in. You could fall in on the high end, the medium end, or the low end. It just depends, right? It just depends on those, how many properties were available, what those properties look like, what did they offer, and now you're comparing it to your home. And say you got the same material, same everything, but it only matches that middle property. Do I price it high? Do I price it low? So as someone who's a realtor, you have to be able to explain this to your seller. So that all takes place when you're thinking about who you want as a realtor, and you think about, well, let me go with the lowest commission player because I want to save the most money. Once again, what if you're losing money dealing with that person because that person is skipping a beat? They're not doing the right comparable markets analysis. They're not showing the home. You are looking for a new home. You done bought the home. Your market, your home is now still sitting on the market. You're paying for 2 mortgages now. And I promise you, you're gonna regret making that decision. You want someone with a track record. You want someone who has a team behind them that's going to help market this property to its best. And that's the same on the buyer side. You want someone who's going to be available to answer your call. Of course, everyone can't answer on the first time, but someone who's going to get back to you in a timely manner. Someone's going to follow up with any of your questions. You want someone who's going to understand your needs and your wants, what's available, what you can afford, what's viable to you. You need to find their motivation. There's so many different things that come into place, and to include, there are so many different timelines throughout that contract on the buyer side that you want an agent that's going to stay on top of that, because you want someone to protect what's called your earnest money, because this is money you got to put up just to get into a contract. This is money you got to put up just to look, and this is just to get under contract, get you an inspection. They're going to explain the option period. If you don't know what an option period is, you're going to give it a realtor. They're going to explain that to you. There's so many different variables, so many things that you have to worry about, right? So that's why you want to make sure that you get you a competent agent. And lastly, to add to it, I would also say, and this is what separates me. I gotta sell myself, man. I gotta let you guys know. I'm gonna let you know what's going on in the city. So if you're an investor, if you are just a first-time home buyer, I'm gonna let you know what's going on in the city, future developments. I'm gonna let you know who's your district rep and what that rep is gonna do on that particular side of town. What's the plans? That's what I'm offering. I'm not just trying to get surface level and sell you a home. No, I want to sell you a home, but I want to give you as much information to protect you, your asset, and let you know this right here, this property, this investment you're making isn't the right decision. I'm going to give you that information. When it comes to schools, when it comes to neighborhood, safety, crime, I want to make sure I have some sort of resource to give to you that you can go through and make a sound decision. That's what I want to give to you. Like I said, so all agents aren't built the same. When it comes to commission, you can negotiate the commission. However, when it comes to those agents that are going above and beyond, it's going to be hard to negotiate it. And it's not a take it or leave it type of deal. However, people know their worth, and I say you pay for what you get. And I've always been a big advocate of that. Always. I've never had a problem spending a little bit of extra to get more. And if you understand that, then you understand where I'm coming from. So the next thing I would say, I can't buy a home with student debt. Many buyers with student loans qualify for mortgages. It's all about your debt to income ratio, right? Not just your loan balance. All right. So there's plenty of people who get into properties with student loan debt. It's happening every day. It's happening every day. So don't sit there and second guess or go off of what someone told you or go off of your classmates or whoever saying you can't get a property because you have student loan debt. What you think Mike's gonna say? I'm gonna tell you, go speak to a lender. Do not make a decision about what you can't do without speaking to a lender. It makes no sense, man. That's the person who's gonna have the final say, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's the person. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of that, man. The next misconception, renovations always increases your home value. This right here is a huge misconception because remember, the market's going to pay for your house the same as they're going to pay for another house that looks just like yours, similar to yours, in another, maybe a couple doors down. Do not go crazy with the customization. Do not go crazy with the specs and expect something to change. It's kind of like souping up your car, souping up a Honda and think you're going to take it to a dealership and they're going to give you back what you put into it. They're not. It's the same with the home. It's the same with the home. Don't go crazy thinking all these different customizations or attributes or whatever you put into this home is going to translate to more dollars. Now, say you have a 3-bedroom, but everything in your neighborhood is a 4-bedroom, and those properties are extra $30,000. It costs an extra $30,000 more than what your property costs. That might be something. Maybe you spend an extra $15,000, and you can, get a contractor and add an addition. That would work. That's something that makes sense. Say, for example, everyone has central air. You don't have central air. That's an extra 10 grand, but you're able to put one in for extra 5 on your roof. Now you're taking that property and you're baselining it like for the market. This is what everybody else has on the neighborhood. This is the price point for everything. Remember when I told you about comparable market analysis, a comparative DMA, right? I'm tired. I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired. But let me tell you, you want your house to kind of match. Like I said, you on those CMAs, you're gonna have a high point, midpoint, and low point. If you can get your property to what most properties are selling at the high point, you just want to match those elements. So if it has central air, if it has 4 bedrooms, if it's 3,200 square feet, yours is 3,200 square feet. If it has, stainless steel washer, dryer, stove, all this stuff, like you're just trying to match it. That's all you're trying to do. You're trying to match it and keep it as close as possible. You don't have to go crazy with certain things. So remember that. A lot of people get caught up, and at some point you just want to remember you don't want to be upside down on the property at all. But if you plan on living there forever, it's not gonna matter anyway, man, because you want to live comfortably. That's fine. But I know our generation, my generation, we just bouncing, bro. We bouncing. We can't stay still, bro. We're not like our grandparents and grandmothers and all this stuff and staying somewhere for 30 years. Now we're bouncing, bro. So it's up to you. It's totally up to you. But Don't say someone did not tell you to not. Don't put a pool where a pool's not required, man. It's not gonna give you nothing at it. Nobody cares, bro. Unless somebody really shopping around for a pool and they're gonna pay extra. You might end up losing money on that. You know? Don't go putting in a theater in your house expecting someone gonna pay extra money because you put a theater in the house. They're probably gonna get it out and make an extra room, bro. So I'm just letting you know. Just letting you know. All right. So that's what I want to leave you guys with. Those are just seven misconceptions of why people. Those are the 7 myths, man. Basically, those are 7 myths. That's all I can tell you. Those are 7 myths of what's stopping people from getting into their first home. These are misconceptions of what they believe can happen if they do get their first home. And I just want to make sure I'm giving you guys content that's a little different every day that you guys can understand and relate to. Once again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, as you see very bottom of your screen, you can schedule an appointment with me today. We can sit down, you have a conversation, we can lock in an appointment. And if you're ready to buy, let's buy, man. I'm excited, right? If you need 6 months, let's wait 6 months. All right. If you're ready to buy in the next 2-3 months, let's get you prepped and ready to go. Let's get you pre-approved. Let's figure out what your wants and your needs, what you're looking for, your location, your motivation, why you want to do X, Y, and Z. Let's get you there. If you're looking to use a FHA, VA home loan, those are nice down payments. If you're looking to use conventional because you've already used so many, blah, 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 FHA home loans, and now you have to use conventional, let's do it. If you're an investor and you're looking for foreclosures and you're trying to figure out that process, I got you. If you're looking to do a live and flip or look for opportunities in the market, let's talk about it. Just like I said, how much value does your realtor give you? How much value are they giving you? Because I'm telling you, I'm going to give you a lot. I'm going to give you a lot. Not to mention, whatever I don't know, understand that I'm part of the war team, and that's a team of knowledge, bro. It's a team of knowledge, a lot of information. I don't know the answer. I promise you I'm going to give you that answer. And I lead from the front. I'm not going to sit here and be shy and tell you what you can't get or not be realistic, which I'm going to be realistic. I'm going to give you all your cards. If you buy, you buy. If you don't, you don't. I want you to be comfortable with that buy. I don't want you to say, man, I had a realtor. He showed me all these houses. I've signed. I ain't heard nothing from him. I feel like I got used because he just put me in his property. I didn't really see this. I didn't see that. And no one said anything. Didn't tell me I could do an inspection. Didn't tell me about the option period. Didn't tell me about this. No, man. That's going to be the last thing someone's going to be able to say about me. No. So, once again, man, I appreciate everything. I'm going to keep pushing this content out. See you guys tomorrow. All right? Peace.